Hey, yo, what's happening, everybody? It's your big homie Mzilitha, aka LIT, and you know what it is, man. It's lit, it's on fire. I'd like to welcome you to the LTV network, and if it's your first time tuning in, please hit the subscribe, the comment, the share, the notification bell so that you're reminded every single time I drop. Anyways, guys, today I'm gonna be talking about, you know what, some real beef news. Today, the beef between 50 cents and um Ti. Yeah, I mean, like, yo, guys, this is really getting heated up. We saw 50 cents doing, a whole lot of investigations on Diddy getting the tapes, paying cameramen who, were holding Diddy's footage, and Diddy didn't want to pay, all of that whole allegation story and everything. But at the end of the day, we saw what happened. 50 Cents orchestrated everything that he could, and he gathered together enough evidence, to put on a documentary to expose Diddy and what Diddy has been doing behind closed doors, you know, with women, men, kids. I mean, like, you name it. And I feel like at the same time, he did a good thing, but like also at the same time, it's like borderline snitching, but it's not snitching because at the end of the day, it's a beef. And during a beef in a hip hop culture, they're gonna take out some files, and I mean, I'm an OG hip hop head. I grew up listening to hip hop. I grew up listening to house music, uh, gospel, jazz, and all of that. But like mainly, I really enjoyed at that time hip hop. And I feel like when I was still in primary, yeah, primary, I didn't know English very well. Funny enough, I didn't know English very well. So I started listening to hip hop, and like I enjoyed the groove, the beat. I enjoyed some of the content, they were writing about. It was like eye opening, as a youth, and because like different rappers would speak about different kind of life experiences, your Tupacs, your Biggies, your Jay-Z's, your Nas, Method Man, name them, Snoop Dogg, Ethic, but like all these hip hop OGs, at the same time were writing stories. And I feel like because now 50 Cent is in a position whereby he's getting into the media space, or rather, has been in the media space in terms of films, that he was featured in, that he also like uh, co-wrote in, and produced and directed, in most cases. I feel like that sort of like opened a totally different space for him, to use the pen in a different manner, and use his way of seeing things, his perspective, in a different manner, and putting it in a totally different space of creativity. So I believe that that was like the boiling point for him, because like it's borderline journalism, and like this guy is um, telling stories that are actually happening within the industry. And coming back to Ti, Ti and 50 Cents have also been beefing, since back in the days, but it was, I feel like as much as it was like big, but it was not that big all over. You get what I mean? As much as it was evident, but certain things, because they happened during a time where a lot of documentation is not, or rather was not shared, you know, right there on the spot like we have today. Today, you know, something can happen now and someone can capture it, share it on the Instagram page, TikTok, YouTube, whatever it may be, and that's how now information is able to travel so fast. And you know, I feel like though Ti at the same time could have directly faced Curtis. You know, I feel like he could have done that, but he chose not to. You get what I mean? Like he chose not to. So now the kids are involved, and you know, I mean, King and Domani. I feel, you know, I'm not gonna say that they're soft kids, you know, but you know they grew up in an era that is not as hard, you know, as their parents. You get what I mean? And I feel like also within the American industry, you know, there's a lot of sacrifices, especially if you're a rapper, because like you are known in the streets, you know, sometimes there's affiliations, and so there's a whole lot of other things that you know they come into play. But for me, I think Ti could have stopped Domani and King from entering this whole thing, because now you know 50 is threatening to sort of like release tapes and a documentary, you know, on Ti, you know, and we don't know what beans, you know, are gonna be spilled in there. And I feel like right now, you know, they both in a space whereby they could have just focused on their own careers, you know, and not spark up a beef. But also, you know, sometimes within the media space, we know that sometimes bad publicity is good publicity, you know, or rather, any publicity is good publicity at some point. So I feel like they're both riding the wave, but more than anything, I feel like it's affecting one more than the other, because like now I feel like Ti, King, Domani, like they in their feelings, you know, and then 50 is not an island on his own, but you know, on his own, he's able to carry whatever you know is coming forth in his direction. You get what I mean? So for me, I just think that um, this is good for the hip hop culture in terms of historical moments that can be captured throughout time. You know, it's been a minute since we've really had something that drastic happen, you know, except for obviously Drake and Kendrick, which was a while back. And you know, now we are able to also hear that, you know, even though these two champs are, you know, older now, but you know, they still can go bar for bar, pound for pound, you know, and we can literally hear what they're saying, and they're investing also in the music. I mean, like, though 50 just like, you know, went on another one by like creating a soundtrack for the new Power that's about to come out, that he's working on, you know. So I feel like it's going to be a stain for Ti for quite some time, because Power's gonna be out there for a long time. Every time somebody repeats it, every time somebody plays it, every time somebody sees it, you know, those lyrics will stay there. That song will stay there. Whereby, you know, if I just release a diss track, throughout time it fades. You know, yes, those and those people will remember, you know, what happened, but after some time, hey man, it's gonna fade. So for me, that's my 2 cents, man, on the 50 cents and Ti beef. I really think that this could be big, and for one person, it's gonna be like career changing, you know. And not that I want to see how it's gonna play out, but I want to see how it's gonna play out because both these two people, you know, they are very meticulous in the things that they do, and you know, and how they do them, and the things that they say and how they say them. So yeah, man, I think this is going to also bring a bit of hype, you know, to both their names. I mean, we're talking about it, so that has to be something big. So yeah, that's what I think. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is my 2 cents. It's your big homie Mzilitha, aka LIT, and you know what it is, man. This is a lit TV network, LTV. You know what it is, man. Please don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment, share, and hit the notification bell so that you are reminded every single time we drop.